Well, a very good evening, ladies and gentlemen. A massive welcome to Not Just Crew. Tonight's show, it's our birthday, it's our first anniversary. We are so pleased and quite proud, I've got to say, to have this gentleman on our show. He's all things. Whenever there's something goes wrong, he pops up. He pops up on TV. He's on the radio. He is the guru, the all-known travel industry, aviation go-to kind of guy. And this person we'll have on our show this evening. So I'm so happy to announce Simon Calder on our show, ladies and gentlemen. Bring him in, Trev. Well, good evening, Mr. Calder.
Well, how lovely to see you. Happy birthday, happy anniversary. And look, congratulations to you and the Not Just Crew team for all you are achieving in these incredibly difficult times. My heart goes out to every single one of you. Nobody deserves what you've been through over the past 15 months now. And all I can do is say that I've always championed the incredible professionalism of Crew, and I will continue to do that and shout for the industry.
Oh, wow. Well, thank you so much, Simon. We really do appreciate it because it has been such a difficult 15 months, especially with all the airlines. I mean, like Flybe, Thomas Cook. I mean, just to name a few, and obviously British Airways and Virgin having to cut back from Virgin Atlantic had 4,500 crew. There's just approximately over 1,000 working for them now, cabin crew. It has been so difficult. I mean, even my wife, she's hung on there. She's hung on there by her fingertips. She still works for Virgin Atlantic. Always been a dream job. She's been there 25 years, just as Trevor, who will be coming in soon. And obviously, with so many people losing their jobs, Simon, it's been horrific, and they've had nowhere to turn to. Luckily, this group is kind of like was formed that from the ashes, basically, and it's been a kind of go-to group for the support that crew have needed, where airlines have basically said, look, we don't need you anymore. Really sorry. Bye-bye. They've had nowhere to go, but they've kind of come to us. And luckily, 400 to 500 people have managed to gain employment from the support that we've given the group, you know. So it's been a tough, like you say, 15 months, but, you know, it's been rewarding in other ways as well. Right, listen, anyway, that's a short little summary of kind of, it's not about us anyway. Listen, we want to have you on the show because we want to talk to you, Simon. It's not about us, right? Everything, I mean, I've followed your career ever since probably I started flying, which was, 1998? I mean, how long have you been? Yes, unbelievable. I mean, I'm scratching on the door of 50, you know, in January next year.
No.
I know.
Oh, my goodness.
I put it down to it's the good living in Crawley of all those years when I used to.
Just to point out, everybody, as Simon I think knows, I was born on the A23 just south of the runway at Gatwick. If you know the Tushmore roundabout, well, there. So, and I was brought up in Crawley, and of course, I love the place. I love the airport. But I love all airports equally. And yes, and I know you've been doing fantastic things. I was lucky enough to be vaccinated. Obviously, you and Trevor, way too young to have been vaccinated. But I belonged to Westminster Abbey, and it was a member of British Airways cabin crew who administered my jab very well. I hope you will all be back in the sky soon, of course.
So, have you had both jabs, and Simon, or is it the first one?
Unbelievably, I have. I went on standby to get the second one, and literally, I mean, it was exactly like standing by as crew or a passenger. You know, just sort of any chance of and they said, "Oh, go on then, in you come," and it was absolutely lovely. So
which one did you have?
Well, funnily enough, the first one I had was a Vauxhall Astra. Yes, it was. I went to so there I was. It was beginning of February. I remember I'd suddenly got this text saying, if you click on this link, you can come and have a jab. And I clicked on it, and they said, right, in your area, and I live in South London, Vauxhall is the place to go. So I went along there, and I got me Astra jab. But then self-upgraded for the free refill, which I had, as I say, in Westminster Abbey.
And did you have any side effects from any of the vaccines that you received?
For about 24 hours after both of them, I felt really smug because my mates hadn't had them yet. So, that was all.
Oh, brilliant! I had a bit of a bad arm, but that was about it. I felt a bit groggy, but me too. I did feel a little bit smug. But I don't know if you know, I work for the ambulance service now. I left and took redundancy from Virgin Atlantic in 2009, so I work for the ambulance service. So they had to jab us, otherwise, it would have looked bad for the NHS if they didn't do the frontline ambulance service. So we managed to receive them. Listen, I'm going to bring in the fantastic co-presenter that is Trevor Jenkins. Come on, Trev. Come and say hello to Simon.
Hello, Simon. Lovely to meet you at last.
That's enough for me.
You should have heard what he was saying about you earlier before we brought you in.
I was having a small sherry in the green room with Kelly, and I could hear it all and see it all on the big monitor. But on behalf of Not Just Crew, thank you so much for joining us. As you've already mentioned, obviously a Crawley lad. Was the beehive operational when you were growing up, or had it already closed? Because it's quite controversial. I know, because I can't remember it closed. I love the history of the beehive, but I don't know when it closed down.
No. Right. Okay. So it goes like this: 1936, beehive opens. Absolutely, the first. Completely pioneering, revolutionary airport terminal. It was built so that you could actually get off the train at Gatwick Airport Station, which at the time was actually slightly further south than it is now, obviously. And you walk under through a tunnel into the terminal, and then you're as you know, small place, small planes parked outside. You just step on the train. I think on the plane, and I think you could very comfortably get from the centre of London to the centre of Paris in the 1930s in 3 hours flat.
Wow!
So you couldn't do that now. Yeah.
No, exactly. If anything, it's gone backwards really with the Well, even when it was normal times, with the curing security. But yeah, that's amazing, because I know the beehive was amazing. It could handle up to 6 flights in one go, if something like that, possibly more.
Oh, sure. Anyway, it was then, it was used for various things. The CAA spent some time there. Then it became the headquarters for GB Airways.
Yeah.
And that was when I sort of mostly went there. Astonishing place, quite remarkable. But by about 1958, Gatwick had hugely expanded, and where the South Terminal is now, actually, lots of the South Terminal as it exists now was exactly what was built in 1958. Incredible survivor.
Oh, wow.
And of course, there's large parts. Everything's just been bolted on up to and including Pier 6, where, of course, if you're a passenger and you're running late and you're on Pier 6, you kind of slightly lose the will to live. So, anyway,
it's a long journey.
Years ago, before it was the airport, didn't Gatwick used to be like a race course or something?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was. It was a race course, which obviously, you could in those days use a race course as an airport, because you were landing on sort of grass strips, and so it worked quite well. And then the race course disappeared, and the airport as we know and love it took over. And I mean, up until the start of the coronavirus pandemic, I remember talking about the really exciting things they're doing, and that would include, and I wonder if how many people have done this, the standby runway at Gatwick, which is quite exciting when you come to land, because you're going past the terminal really very close, and you're coming to land on the standby runway. Well, they're going to press that into service, as you know, and effectively have 1.5 runways. So it's only going to be allowed for takeoffs, and only of up to A320 or Boeing 737 size. But since that's what EasyJet's got, then it's a huge advantage, and make it even more efficient. And let's hope those times come back soon.
Yeah, let's hope so. Can I ask you about, was your love of flying and travel because you lived in Crawley, or were you a journalist? Did you try to be a a journalist first and fell into travel, or was travel your
No.
first love and then you went into journalism?
I always wanted to be a traveller. Yeah, but not. I mean, it was Crawley, but not in a good way. Okay, so
Yeah.
so growing up in Crawley in the 1970s, you just thought, what is this? It? I'm just stuck here forever. And so luckily, I learnt how to hitchhike. And sort of age 12, and then age 13, from Thomas Bennett School where I went to, you could get through a hole in the fence onto the A23, hitched down to Brighton, and that was, as it is now, an absolutely fantastic city and a great place to enjoy yourself. So and while in those days there was absolutely no way I would ever be able to afford to fly because the fares were so high. It was really exciting to travel. And of course, as soon as you work at an airport, and I cleaned out the offices of British Airways. I cleaned out the planes of Freddie Laker. I frisked people. That was a job, not a hobby. Of course, I hugely envy people who are crew and fly for a living. But even as ground staff, or doing very peripheral roles, it's such an exciting buzz because aviation just connects the world, and there's always stuff happening. It's all about people and excitement, and sometimes tragedy. But it's just a really, really human industry.
I've got to say, hey, watch it, Trevor. I've got a question here. I'm coming in there. Right. So, Simon, like you've been everywhere, like a billion times. Slight exaggeration, but you get the gist. So, my experience and the fun for me is when I start to like my journey getting to the airport. It's all about the customer service you receive, and it all begins from when you get to the airport. You get to check in. You see an amazing person at check-in, and you're getting a good service. And it has to continue from there. It has to continue from there all the way till I get on the plane. And I'm always looking to see what kind of service I'm getting. Do you feel exactly the same? Does your kind of journey begin at the beginning, like at check-in? I'm guessing people treat you a bit differently because of who you are, but is it the same for you?
Well, look, okay. I don't tend to go to check-in. I realised in the new world, we'll probably all have to go to check-in to have our various papers checked. But I'm always travelling with hand luggage only, partly because I'm a skinflint, but also because I know from experience that if things start going a bit tango uniform operationally, if you've only got hand luggage, you can you can immediately switch. So I was down at Gatwick, and I was booked on a Tampa on BA, and that went technical. So I just said, "Oh, I've only got me bag. Can I go to Orlando instead?" And they said, "Fine, off you go. Here you are." So it's always good. And of course, what's happened, and it is a shame the way that you got so much automation, but it's just quite straightforward. Actually, the first person I will probably have any contact with is at the gate, checking my boarding pass, getting on board. But those ground staff people are fantastic because I am always the last one on the aircraft. Not in a bad way, because I'll always go along to the ground staff and I'll just say, look, and it's generally true, I've got a couple of calls to make, or I've got a story to finish. I'll just be sitting here, just let me know when I've got to get on. And they're always very, very good about it. I'll just get on. And then I don't look at, the cabin crew will look at my boarding pass and see which seat I'm in, but I won't. And that's not because I'm going to self-upgrade. It's just because I'm down the back of the plane and I'm simply looking for, a couple of empty seats together, so get myself a bit more space. But no, I absolutely celebrate the fantastic professionalism, the customer care, the everything that cabin crew do for travelers. And of course, ultimately, it's all about safety. And I do what I can to try to convince the traveling public, pay attention to the safety briefing.
Yes.
And Of course, these people are here for your safety. If they want you to, they want you to be able to survive a perfectly survivable incident. And unless you pay attention, you're putting yourself at risk, you're putting them at risk, and you're putting other passengers at risk. And I keep trying to get that message across. But of course, I mean, the converse is that flying is now so incredibly safe that a lot of people say, what could possibly go wrong? And I know you could give them a great long list, guys, of what could possibly go wrong. It doesn't.
Yeah, I was going to say, Simon, when you check in, I mean, you've gained, I'm not sure if it's your own motto, but you're known as the man who pays his own way. Is that a title you developed, or was that thrust upon you from the media industry?
No, I can't remember how it came about. Right. So, well, you asked me kindly earlier about my how I got to be lucky enough to do this job. Well, it was all a terrible accident. I'm not a journalist, or I wasn't. I was an engineer for 15 years. I did a maths degree. Then I was an engineer, but all I really wanted to do was travel. So I wrote guidebooks because that was a good way of kind of subsidizing your travel habit. And then the Independent started up, and the whole thing about the Independent was that they didn't take any free trips. So they liked me because I didn't take any free trips because nobody would give me any. And therefore I wrote articles for them, and I did a bit of that, and that was all fine. And then suddenly the great Frank Barrett, who was the first travel correspondent, left to go to the Mail on Sunday, and they phoned me up, and it would never, ever happen these days. Honestly, you'd have to have 17 interviews, and they'd look at my CV and say, "You're joking, pal." But they didn't, and so I've sort of clung on. And since then, I've found out a bit about journalism, and I think I'm gradually getting better. But it was incredibly fortunate. I do wake up every morning feeling very, very grateful that I'm lucky enough to do this.
So in the early years, I mean, when I was growing up, I used to watch programs like Holiday 77, 78, and they were great programs, and they don't seem to really have those anymore. I mean, I know this year would have been a washout completely, but that used to get everyone going for holidays. Why do you think those sort of kind of programs stopped?
Because I was in them.
I love them.
True. No, it is true. Right. So I absolutely agree. Now, I'll see your Holiday 77, and I'll raise you Holiday 1969, I think, was the very first one. And I remember watching this on this sort of grainy black and white TV. Oh, that's what Benidorm looks like. How amazing. And knowing I'd never be able to go there. Anyway, eventually, if you hang around long enough, you will get hired to do some films. And I've managed to be in the very last episode of about 3 or 4 BBC travel series, which have all been closed down. So I haven't personally been sacked, but they've just so happens that the series is closed down. So I did the very last film in the very last holiday program ever, which was 2007, and it was a trip down the Mekong without a paddle. But there we are. And so now I still do filming, and filming is the most fun you can ever have. So we make films commercially for the Independent. So the last one I did was December, when, if you remember, there were about 2 weeks where there was one place in the world as a British person you could go to without any checks going there, any checks coming back, and that was Gibraltar. So we went out and made a film called 48 Hours in Gibraltar.
Yeah. Actually, I remember hearing about that trip on the Mike Graham show. Actually, I remember you telling me about that as well. Do you like working by yourself? I mean, I know you mentioned filming, or do you like working as a team, like with a crew?
It's so much better working with a crew, working with the. I mean, it's like any kind of team. It's just you spark off each other. It's much better. I mean, it is very, very solitary, and it has been solitary sitting here with my laptop, trying to keep track of what's going on. And that's why it's lovely to talk to you guys and your wonderful audience, because humanity is all about making contact, and we've all been kind of locked in. And I can't wait to get out filming again and get out actually just talking to people, talking to the crew in the galley, getting their tips for the destination we're going to. It's all fantastic.
I tell you what, it's pretty amazing. You must pinch yourself from time to time, Simon. Like you're doing, if you go back to like you're a little boy living in Crawley, what you've kind of accomplished and what you've gone through your journey to now, you've ticked every box. You know what I mean? It's like you must pinch yourself from time to time.
Oh yeah.
Who's in the Bronx? Who's that? Is that a copper going past someone's house? But yeah, you must pinch yourself, Simon, from time to time and think, wow, this job is unbelievable what I've been doing.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I do. Look, every single day I am incredibly grateful. It also helps. And I'm sure you've kind of found this with some of the jobs that maybe you've done. If you've done some really challenging jobs, I used to be a maths teacher of all things. Can you believe? That's tough. And just working in factories, being a cleaner, all this sort of stuff. And then suddenly you get this job. So what I've got to do is go to places and then write about them and talk about them. And I get paid money for that. What? I mean, it is simply too good to be true. Yes.
Yeah, but the thing is though, like when you're on TV, right? I mean, normally it's something's happening in the aviation world, travel industry, You are the face, you are the face, Simon. You're the face, believe you me. But like people listen to you because people respect you and kind of like know how knowledgeable you are about all things travel related. That must be a damn good feeling to know that people like respect you.
Oh, look, that's so sweet of you, Simon. I mean, basically, I'm cheap and available. And I must say, I've heard similar things about Trevor, but I don't want to repeat rumours.
Cheaper than you think. Cheaper than you think.
You can't be that cheap. It's of course it's an absolute honour and a privilege. To be asked and to be invited to broadcast. Of course it is. It's an absolute honour and a privilege talking to you. But it's I don't expect it. It's great when it happens, but I'm a freelance. I'm just have to try and stagger from one gig to the next. And if you're all right last time, you might get hired again. And that's the way I look at it. Just every single day, I'm grateful to be invited. But if I'm not, that's fine. I mean, I just want to go out and see the world.
Do you ever have like a lazy day where you're not doing anything, or you're constantly just at it?
Well, I can't remember, Simon, because that was in the olden days pre-COVID. I mean, considering I used to do, I used to talk about travel and how the industry was working and all the fantastic places you could go to and all the incredible value you would find flying from the UK. And now I spend all my time talking about the many and varied different ways we can't actually go anywhere. And I can't believe that this demands sort of 14-hour days. And I don't mind for one moment. It's absolutely engrossing, but it's desperately distressing because there's so many terrific people who've been working in the industry who are just under the worst of circumstances. But from a purely professional point of view, it's hard work, but it's just every single day, a bit like flying, something different is going to happen.
Yeah, Simon, adding to something Simon said earlier, how did you become, and I know you're going to be modest about this, but I'd love to know the background. How did you become the go-to person for this? Was there one story that you covered?
And don't say it's available.
Yeah, because you're certainly. But no, there must, because if anyone thinks of travel, and I know you'll be modest about this, but if anyone thinks of travel programs, your name is the first name that comes up. So, what was it? What made you the go-to person?
Right. Well, that's kind of you to say so. I mean, there's many great people out there, and I will.
There are, but you're the best.
You're very kind. No, look. I don't know, and a bit like getting my job as the travel correspondent, you wouldn't, if you thought, right, I want to be travel correspondent at the Independent, you probably never get there. You only ever get there by accident. But if you remember ABTA, the Travel Association, they used to have a really good guy called oh crikey, oh no, this is so embarrassing.
He was really good. Really
He
good.
was. We remember him. Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
sorry
gosh.
to everyone if the signal went funny out here.
Yeah, it did.
Simon did say his name, but the weather here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Anyway, they had a great spokesperson. I was just so desperately involved. And of course, as you know, 2 minutes after we finished speaking, I'll go to remember his name.
Yeah.
Anyway, he was the ABTA spokesperson. And whenever there was, the equivalent of an ash cloud or, the terrible events of 9/11 or whatever, he would pop up. And the thing is that they, for some reason, sort of stopped taking that role. So you needed someone who was vaguely independent, who would try and put forward exactly what was happening, but not in a in an impartial way. So that sort of just happened. And I suppose the more you do it, the more sure you are about how to do it, if you see what I mean. And the basics is just a bit like crew. Part one: get there on time and be where you're supposed to be on time. And if you can do that, then if you're seen, I guess, as reliable, then that will happen. And also, no swearing and no libel. That's always good for your characters.
Well done.
That was that. How do you I mean, are you commissioned on pieces of work, or do you say as a freelancer, I'm going to go to this place, would you like me to do a story? How's that planned out?
Right. Okay. Well, it's I remember I used to go traveling to places vaguely. I can't remember when that was. No. Here's how it works. So I do a number of stories for the Independent. I mean, that's, I guess, the thing I do more than any other element of my work. And if something happens at here we are, we're talking on Monday evening. I was a bit late coming to you, and that was because I had suddenly the European Commission had decided to do something about holidays. So therefore I will write a quick story for the Independent to try to explain that. But in terms of, let's go forward just 2 weeks from when we're talking. I'm going to be somewhere on the 17th of May. The government won't tell us where is on the green list, so I can't even start planning. But I know that I will be somewhere. I will want to, report on the airport experience going out there, the in-flight experience, and actually getting there. What's it like going through passport control? And hey, we're in Malta or Israel or Lisbon or wherever it happens to be, and here's what's happening. So, and I will, but most of the time it's just stuff happens in travel, as you will know, and kindly broadcasters sometimes pick up the phone to me, and so even ahead of turning up, you have to answer the phone. I think that's probably it.
There's never a dull moment, is there, with the travel industry? It's always, whether drones are going on,
the drones,
the drones.
Remember that 300 years ago, or you've got the Iraq War, you've got tanks flying around airports, you've got the atrocities of 9/11, you've got this horrendous pandemic that's just done awful things to many people's lives. There's always something going on with the travel industry, isn't it? It's just such a lively kind of like living, breathing entity. It's brilliant.
Yeah. Well, a bit like Trevor, really. Sorry.
Well, this is it. I am a living entity.
Yeah. But look, what do you expect? This is incredibly complex industry, as you know. Just for a flight to take off from Gatwick and get to Malaga, there are 100 moving parts. If all the personnel involved have to be at exactly the right place at exactly the right time, doing exactly the right things. And, things are going to go wrong from all points of view. Once you introduce weather, once you introduce mechanical breakdowns, drones, that was very exciting. I basically camped at the South Terminal for 3 nights. And along with, very many hundreds of poor old passengers. So, it's, the number of things that can go wrong in travel is limitless, but nobody thought they would go as wrong as this.
I know.
No, it's certainly. With that in mind, Simon, how do you see the future of holidays at the moment, especially with staycations? Do you think the British seaside is going to have a renaissance? Are we going to go down to Cornwall? Well, we do already, Cornwall and Jones, but I mean, I think of the neglected holiday resorts like Mygate. Are they going to have resurgence?
Well, they right. Okay, there is no question other than the British seaside will have a terrific summer this year because so many people, here we are 2 weeks before we can go abroad again, and the government won't say where. An awful lot people don't like uncertainty. They like looking forward to their holidays, and therefore if you know that you're going to get a fortnight in Skegness, and you're not sure about going to Spain or Greece or wherever, then you're quite possibly going to settle on that, and that's going to push the prices up. It's going to fill get the occupancy sky high, and therefore they will do well. It is absolutely up to the UK domestic tourism industry to demonstrate fantastic value for money and great service, and we have yet to see if that's going to happen, so that people might come back again. But at the moment, with so many obstacles to overseas travel, it's clearly going to benefit the UK, and thank goodness for that in some senses, because they had a terrible summer last year. But it's there isn't room in Cornwall for all the people who want to go to Cornwall, and it's a question of whether people can spread themselves out, and whether when they do have a holiday, well, you can't do much about the weather, but is the service good? Is is there plenty of stuff to do? You just can't tell. And I would be delighted if people thought, actually, UK's all right, and I'll take some more, spend more time here. But I'm not sure. We have got so used to the idea that we've got a week, a fortnight in the Med, that I think that's going to be that's going to take. I think an awful lot of people are going to be thinking, I just can't wait to get back to that taverna. You remember, Trevor, the one that Simon got thrown out of last night?
Well, when Simon sent me those pictures, what Simon was doing, that was quite a shock. But thanks for that. So, because I've got nearly 2 years of blackmail material to hold him to that. But you did well that night, Simon.
Yes, thank you. But the police have dropped charges, I think.
They have.
I'm like that with the West Sussex police. They know me very well, and I've got a lot of dirt on them as well. Right, guys.
Well, you could do it. You could do your own AC12, couldn't you? That'd be good. I'd watch.
I bet you would.
Simon's Line of Duty.
Yeah, easy, Tiger, easy. Yeah. Right, listen. We're coming up to 32 minutes. We've kept you long enough, Simon. We really appreciate your time. Charlotte's going to kill me. We could go on all night talking to you. I swear to God. So I'm going to ask. So one quick, short question that I'm going to, and then we'll do some closing comments. So my last question is, it's short and simple. When you get on an aircraft and you've flown with so many different airlines, which has been your kind of like favorite uniform? Now, I'll tell you what mine is. Mine's Singapore. I think unbelievable, stunning, amazing, so beautifully presented. Who's been your favorite uniform crew-wise?
Well, I'm going to say, and I love all crew uniforms, but I'm probably going to say early EasyJet. Because apart from anything else, there's a funny story attached, which is that I think they had to go to about 17 branches of Benetton to get all the all the cabin crew outfit. And so, I mean, it was a bit orange, a bit garish, but just different. And people actually wearing just looking as though they were comfortable. And I think people are comfortable when they know the crew are comfortable too. I'd forgotten about that. Definitely not. And I've got here on my wall, these are a couple of Aeroflot posters. So the old Tupolev 144 and the Ilyushin 62, terrible aircraft. But I don't think I would ever, I wouldn't nominate those as my best my best flights.
On that note, favourite aircraft then as well?
Oh, look, whichever is going in my direction and has a seat for me at a decent price and is ideally going to be on time. And I must say, I absolutely celebrate the fact that safety is a given, and that's because of all the fantastic professionals who work in the industry and put their heart and soul into it. And I just, I'm just on your behalves so saddened that the government has not shown more respect for the incredible work you do, for the fact that the UK had the leading aviation industry in the world, incredibly competitive, incredibly successful, and they've just kind of let it wither. Now, because I know you guys, I know that things will come back and you will be great again, but it won't be any thanks at all to the government, I'm afraid. They have let the industry down badly, at the same time as, well, France, Germany, Italy, Netherlands. How many more billion would you like to keep your airline going? It's extraordinary. I'm not. The great airlines that the UK have, they're not interested in subsidies. They're interested in actually doing what they do best, which is getting people where they need to be, to see their loved ones, to get their business transacted, to go on holidays, and they're great at that. And they just need a chance to prove it.
How could they not help Thomas Cook out back in the day? Thomas Cook was there. Like, had the little shop in like, I'm not sure if it was Westminster or the House of Commons or whatever.
Yeah.
But Thomas Cook, it was like, it's like an institution, wasn't it? It was like being around. And how did they not help Thomas Cook out? Don't get it.
Thomas Cook had some very, very big structural problems to do with sort of £1 billion of debt. And I mean, I've seen Trevor's credit cards, and so I know that that's a big problem now.
Thanks for clearing that, Simon.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay.
And Flybe, another very heavily indebted airline. And I don't, it's just awful when this happens, when airlines go bust, but they have done ever since the dawn of time. And what happens is that the industry actually emerges stronger. And the terrible thing, of course, for Flybe staff, 2,400 great professionals, they would in normal times expect, after a short while, relatively speaking, to be getting into other jobs, and they absolutely haven't. But no, the airlines that are around are very, very well run, very resilient, which is just as well. The markets are lending them billions of pounds, even if the government isn't putting its hand in its pocket. So they will be around for the long term. But just the complete lack of interest in keeping this industry going and to have a world-beating industry is terrible. I mean, Heathrow, previously the busiest airport in Europe. I've been talking to people who've said won't come back. Istanbul will take over, then Paris, then maybe Amsterdam, then Heathrow. It's a terrible tragedy. But the only thing I can say is that the government presumably knows, we've got this fantastic industry with these great people, so we don't need to worry about them because they will bounce back.
We shall see. We shall see. But,
right, Trev, last question, Trev.
Yeah, well, it's not a question. It's to say that it's a plug for you, actually, Simon. Your podcast, and you should have been there, is an absolutely fantastic listen. So anyone watching this who wouldn't know anything about travel, please have a listen to that.
Well, thank you. Yes, it's only 29 minutes long, and it's free every week. You should have been there, and you can find it online.
Wow,
certainly can.
So listen, thank you so much. We've totally stole you for an extra 18 minutes here, but I don't care. It's been great talking to you, Simon. It's such a joy to have you on the show. It's great to see you. Actually, I can't believe that we're talking to you. I see you so much on TV. It's whatever you've got to say, it just speaks a lot of sense. And you explain yourself in a way. This is going back to like when Trevor was asking, how do you think you became the go-to kind of person? Because you explain yourself so clearly to people who probably don't understand travel or aviation or anything. Like you put it in a way they can understand. That's why. And you're very presentable, you're personable, you come across like very well on TV. Better than what I do anyway.
No, Simon, you don't want to be my agent, do you? Fantastic.
But listen, thank you so much, Mr. Calder. what a joy to have you on board, not just crew on our first birthday. It's just so great to see you. So thank you so much for coming on.
Great to see you. And look, I look forward to seeing you on board. Thanks a million for everything you've done for me and billions of travellers over the years. And I can't wait to be back. Thanks a million, guys.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Simon. Thank you.
Oh, there's my aeroplane.